Hey gang, what's up? Aaron here, Canadian Looney. We're going to X, and it is a tough platform to navigate. We're going to kick it off with this loser, Kevin Lamoureux. He's the mouthpiece of the Liberals all day, every day in the House of Commons. He's a crap face liar. Watch him go. He's almost amazing how obnoxious and ridiculous and pompous this little worm is. Let's take a peek. Like, Kevin Lamoureux is a laugh.
Hey, that's something everyone can enjoy.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. The member has made reference to mythical bail legislation. And we have had a Prime Minister who's made a very strong commitment to bring it in this fall. The concern I have is the Conservatives like to talk tough on crime, but when it comes to actually passing legislation through, they have to be shamed in order to get it, even to go through second reading so it can go to a standing committee where the public and stakeholders can provide thoughts and feedback on it. I wonder if the member would be prepared, if the legislation does materialize, will he be prepared to then
I have to interrupt the member to allow the member for Elgin, St. Thomas, London South in 20 seconds or less to
the member for Winnipeg North just said if the legislation materializes, so even he doesn't know if it's real, Mr. Speaker. I would encourage him to leave this chamber for even an hour or two from time to time and look at what's happening on the streets here and realize that Canadians are calling for real action, and we are prepared to deliver it, even though the Liberal government is not.
Okay, on to the next piece, because we've got a lot to come. Like, X has information on there.
Senator Batters.
Secretary McLean, the Senate's current sessional order states that it is to be ministers who are invited to these question periods. Yet the Prime Minister's office website plainly states that secretaries of state, quote, are not members of cabinet. And after all, this is ministerial question period, not secretarial question period. But I'll ask you the questions that the Carney government Senate leader could not answer for me in June. Do you have your own department and departmental budget? What is your salary? What is your office budget? And do you have a car and driver?
Madam Secretary.
I believe this question is not within my portfolio. I think that the question needs to be directed to finance, who's responsible for budgets, et cetera, or the Prime Minister's office that's responsible for appointments. And I'm pleased to have received an invite, even if your rules say that I'm not to be invited. So thank you.
Senator Batters.
You are a Secretary of State. I'm asking about your position. The government Senate leader could not answer questions about it, so that's why I'm asking you about your own things. If you do have a department, I want to also know, does your department's deputy minister report to you or to a minister? And Secretary McLean, your seniors portfolio used to be a full ministry, but it has now been downgraded by the Carney government to a Secretary of State. That does not say much for the priority your government places on the seniors who built our country. How many full cabinet meetings have you attended since you were appointed to this position in May?
Madam Secretary.
Thank you. Again, the determinations of how cabinet is arranged are within the portfolio of the Prime Minister's office, so I will direct you there. With respect to the portfolio of seniors, I think that by having a Secretary of State for seniors, the Prime Minister has shown leadership and dedication to ensuring that seniors have their perspective represented throughout government decision-making, particularly at a time where a agile, small cabinet is needed for really important economic decision-making, given the times that we find ourselves in the global economic context. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
You've said previously, I believe it was a Global News interview, that we search less than 1% of what comes into Canada, and you mentioned that last year. Is that still true today? Has anything changed in the last year?
No, nothing's changed. Again, we are not dinosaurs. We realize that technology can be helpful. What we're seeing at the CBSA is technology replacing us. We really don't search much. We don't speak to almost anyone at all anymore coming through airports. We see similar plans for land borders. It's extremely concerning. We're depending on someone to self-declare to a machine in large part.
The 1,000 border agents, with these resources then, you mentioned it already, they're better on the front line. That's where we need them.
The one place where we need them, yes.
I believe you mentioned in that same interview that rail we don't do at all. Is that still the case? So it's still the case that rail, we don't do it all. So in my community of Oshawa, we have 2 rail lines that come right through CN and CPKC. We need to be able to do that. So would you say criminals know where our blind spot is then?
It would be very naive to think they don't.
So it would be fair to say they absolutely know that rail is our blind spot and they are using that now and we're doing nothing about it.
I've never asked one, but I would be shocked if they do not.
Okay, thank you. That's fair.
What do we need to do to build that confidence back into a CBSA agent?
I think you need to start properly staffing with the officers who do the work. Right now, we are absolutely drowning in middle management. We have ports of entry who have more managers than officers. Managers don't process travelers. That's extremely common at the CBSA. The other thing is that we're not an organization who promote from within. You look at other law enforcement agencies, the people in positions to make decisions have all come from the line. They've worked as officers, they know the workplaces, they know the job. CBSA is unique in that they do not do that. We parachute people in from outside. So the people who are in a position to decide how the border is going to operate have never worked at a border. So in terms of confidence from our membership, from the officers as to how the border is operating is close to zero. You often have to explain to upper management how borders work as though you're explaining it to someone who's never traveled in an airport, who doesn't know how a land border works. It is, I'm trying to use my words carefully. It is, it's really shocking at times, and these are the people who are deciding how our border works. I think the other big thing, too, that, I get to speak about less here, too, though, is the absolutely toxic culture. We are not last in the public service employee survey, every single survey, accidentally. People would rather work in prisons than come to a CBSA workplace. That's a terrible sign. It's toxicity, it's an overabundance of managers, and we see policies being implemented like they're doing now, essentially telling every single person working there that you are a slip or fall away and we will show you the door. It's a horrendous way to treat people. I would almost say it's un-Canadian. It's unheard of anywhere else, and it's consistent with the CBSA. We allow the RCMP to do day's work and doing that work between ports of entry. Right now, we've seen different combinations of provincial forces, parks involved, sheriffs. It seems like everyone is helping protect the border except the CBSA, who seem very happy to just sit back and let others fulfill what is actually their mandate. To intercept someone under IRPA or the Customs Act, it is only the CBSA and RCMP who even have that legal authority. So the system they have now is if one of these provincial authorities picks up someone between a port of entry, they bring them back to us anyway.
IRCC, Immigration Refugee Canada, confirmed at Immigration Committee that there are over 47,000 people here on expired student visas, so they're here illegally. Is that a high number historically in your experience?
I don't have the numbers in front of me, but that does not surprise me, no.
Does it not surprise you that you think it's a high number?
No, it doesn't surprise me that that is the number.
Yeah. Now, how many officers across the country are tasked from CBSA to, investigate these 47,000 plus cases?
Yeah, that would be our inland officers. Top of my head, I'd say around 300 and change.
Whole country?
Pretty much, yeah.
Would you say it's taking up a lot of the resources of CBSA or is it not a priority to look for these 47,000?
No, it is. Again, it's a matter of resources. There's only so many people to do all of that work. It's a very heavy-handed management. Everything is dealt with discipline. It's not a management style where you speak to your employees. Everything is done through a formal fact-finding, suspensions, disciplines, firings. The ability to speak to an employee has been absolutely lost at this agency. It's a culture that's hard to change. I think it has a lot to do with the overabundance of management as well. It makes our members feel disheartened in that all we really want to do is be able to do our job. It seems that management is there to tell us repeatedly that, no, you got into this to keep Canadian communities safe, but no, you can't do what you want to be doing.
We have to use our leverage. We have to use our strengths. As President Trump wants to destroy our auto sector, take down our steel sector, go after our manufacturing sector, but we can't sit back and let President Trump continuously increase tariffs and the Prime Minister's decreasing tariffs. That doesn't cut it.
I just want you to actually dive a little bit deeper into this. The Online News Act, Bill C-18, it did come through this committee. There were some challenges with that bill. There were questions that were raised.
With the Online News Act, a condition of receiving funds from the Journalism Collective, which was established to disperse the funds, is that you have to make all the content you produce available to Google, to one specific AI company and to one specific LLM, and arguably to the most powerful one in the marketplace.
He took that approach. What do you think?
Well, I thought it was interesting in that exchange, actually, because as has been commented many times today, Trump spoke for most of that news conference.
Same as in May.
Yeah, Carney said very little. And it looked to me like he was asking for permission to speak at that point. You know, he tapped him, and it was like he wanted to say something, but he had to get permission to do that. I feel like, you know, to Supriya's point about, you know, the kind of what is this all about, I feel a bit naive for feeling so let down by today. Because I think that there were those moments in that news conference. It sounded like something big was going to happen, and I kind of got my hopes up because I hadn't been expecting a lot, and then my hopes really went up by the tone of that news conference. Even though, of course, it's always cringy to watch these things, but my hopes were up, and then there was nothing there, and there has to be something. I mean, I'm heartened by the fact that the talks are going to continue, but there has to be something substantial there, and that's, I think, the big danger is if it's too little.
Good afternoon, everyone. As you know, I had the opportunity to meet with Prime Minister Carney last week and discuss the circumstances facing our country, especially in advance of an important budget that we all know is going to be announced on November 4th. It was an opportunity for me to lay out our perspective as New Democrats on where we think our economy is and what we think is needed at this point in time. First and foremost, I expressed to the Prime Minister that as a strong New Democrat opposition, we are going to be supporting policies that we agree with, and we will be opposing policies that we don't, and therefore we will wait until that budget comes out and we'll evaluate the budget based on what is contained in it. At the same time, we communicated very clearly that we would not be able to support a budget that takes an austerity approach. In our opinion, at this moment in time when we are facing serious economic headwinds and challenges from south of the border, that an economically contractionist approach to our economy is not what's called for, but rather we need to be investing. We need to be investing in Canadian communities, Canadian businesses, Canadian workers, and Canadian infrastructure. I also took the opportunity to highlight a number of areas that we would like to see included in the budget, which is substantial investment in jobs, housing, and healthcare. And by jobs, we mean investing in those kind of jobs that are family sustaining, preferably unionized in every corner of the country. When it comes to housing, we want a serious investment from the federal government in affordable, non-market housing, because we know that's what anchors people in their communities and makes their ability to participate in our economy possible. And finally, in terms of healthcare, we don't believe that you can have a strong economy unless you have a healthy workforce and a healthy population.
As a European, I am a European, actually.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, Irish citizen. Yeah, so there you
welcome.
go.
Welcome.
Speaking as a European.
WTF.
Here, here.
How many kids did you molest with Jeffrey Epstein?
More than just elbows.
And as the most European of the non-European countries,
being aware of what potential conflicts of interest you sought
to avoid. What possible conflict would you have, Stephanie? Stephanie, I'm complying with the rules. I'm complying with the rules in advance. Come on, Fiona.
These are Muslim values. These are Canadian values.
Hi, everyone. Congratulations, you're spending more money on taxes than on food, clothing, and shelter combined.
Hey, that's something everyone can enjoy.
All right, gang, thank you all very much for watching. Aaron, Canadian Looney, like, share, subscribe. Smash that subscribe. We're trying to grow this thing. Canadian Federal Politics. Get yours right here. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next video.